again. This is Doc Rotten with Gruesome Magazine and Horror News Radio. Joining me tonight with another review is the one and only Rafe Telsch. Rafe, how you doing, sir?
Hey, everybody. How you doing, Doc?
I believe you have a really interesting film here to discuss with us. This is a daguerreotype. Do I have that pronounced right?
I think it's daguerreotype. It's French, but I don't think it's really relevant either. So. Oh,
awesome. And the director is Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Yes.
And he has an interesting films that he's done. Are you familiar with his list of films?
I had looked him up on IMDb, but I don't think I've seen anything else that he's done, no.
Yeah, because he's responsible for films like Cure and Creepy.
And Pulse, right?
Yeah.
The original Pulse, not the American remake.
Yeah, which is the one I think most horror fans would know him from. So this is a return to drama, fantasy, horror, if you will. So tell us a little bit about the film. What's going on here?
So the movie is about a photographer who specializes in daguerreotype photography. That's where the name of the movie comes from. And essentially, he takes pictures, long exposure using archaic camera photography. There's like a metal frame that they have to connect the models to so they don't move over the extended period of exposure time. He gets a new assistant, and that's our protagonist, Jean. And Jean at first is happy to help out the photographer, but then he finds out that the land, some developers want the land for a green project, so that way we don't feel bad about them wanting the land because it's green. Hey, it's healthy, it's good. Jean attempts to get the photographer to sell the land. Now, this is that sounds very drama, not very horror at all. The horror and the fantasy elements come into play as the photographer's wife died prior to the film starting, and then over the course of the film, his daughter collapses, and he believes that his daughter is dead, and so Jean kind of helps keep up that charade to kind of convince him to sell, that his wife is dead, his daughter is dead. But the photographer hears the wife speaking and hears the daughter speaking, and we get some creepy elements in lighting and sound and such, as there's kind of a haunting element. But it really is a minor element of the movie. The majority of the film is more dramatic than anything else.
Is it enough of the film that horror fans will enjoy this, or is it too little?
It is far too little. It is it's really, my previous experience with French film, and even though we have a Japanese director and screenwriter, this is a very French film. Okay? It is a French language with subtitles. This is an adaptation from a French script, French story. And my previous experience with French film was very much this, which it is a ton of exposition, but very little action, very little actual movement of the story, and daguerreotype kind of falls into that same play. It's a very dramatic story, but it's very, very slow paced, and the fantasy elements are almost a minority to it.
So, out of our audience, who would enjoy this? What would this compare to?
When I was watching it, I was thinking of. Oh, not Tim Burton, but Joel Schumacher did an adaptation of Haunting of Hill House, right?
Yes, he did.
Yes. Now, think about that movie, but take away all the creepy angels and all that kind of stuff, and it kind of plays like that movie, which frankly wasn't a very good movie, especially if you take away the supernatural elements.
That's not very encouraging, sir.
No, and it's a weird, as I said, the movie name is Daguerreotype, but it really is just about a photographer, so that name is weird. The original title is Le Secret de la Chambre Noire, which is The Secret of the Black Chamber, and there's no black chamber in it either, so the French title doesn't make any sense either.
All right. Well, I am curious. What is going to be your score, 1 to 5, and what is your favorite scene?
I really wanted to like this, and the problem is the first hour of the movie really builds this kind of cool atmosphere, but then it just really doesn't go anywhere. My favorite scene of the movie is probably there's a scene where Jean is in the basement studio that they have in this elaborate mansion, and the lights kind of start to flicker, like they dim out, They don't flicker, I guess, as much as they slowly dim out and they slowly come back in the background and then a little closer to him. And it's very environmental. It's very kind of cool in that regard. And I liked that because it was also obvious that they did it through practical effects. It wasn't like CG or anything like that. It doesn't pay off, but it was a cool atmospheric scene. As far as the score, 1.5 stars at best. It really is kind of a boring movie that doesn't really have anywhere near enough genre elements to it, even though it should. It tries to make that payoff in the ending, which I'm not going to talk about, but it really is kind of bland. And unfortunately, that's just my experience with French film as a whole at this point.
Well, Rafe, thank you for another wonderful review. Let's say goodnight.
All right. Night, everybody.
Be sure to visit GruesomeMagazine.com to listen to the other gruesome podcasts, Hard News Radio, and Decades of Horror. Also check out the Gruesome Magazine Quarterly, available in digital and print on demand format.